Crypto kiddies, how are you? Yeah, it's the market sniper, it's the crypto sniper, it's the reset sniper. You should be following the reset sniper on Odyssey. Happy New Year to you all. Yes, power to the people. Yeah, bit of a iffy start to the year on crypto. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the blue sky behind me in the jungle. That's right. We'll be meeting up with community members that have taken action. Our core product of protecting your wealth in reset times. By the way, key important point. Many of you are like, crypto's down, I'm down, sulking. This is the time that you should be putting into place, locking in any gains that you might have had, putting into place your structures in the dull season of crypto. This is the time that you should actually getting your reset aspects absolutely right. 2016, we recorded in a place not too far away from here, telling you they are coming for you. They are coming from you at a tax level. They are coming up for your money in the bank. That they are coming for you in every single way of your freedom. This preceded pandemic. This preceded lockdowns. This preceded freedom of movement paperwork. This preceded the additional tax of PCR tests non-stop every time you wanted to do things if you didn't do the health thing. This preceded all elements. We warned that this is coming, and you will get the gift of the crypto up market. You should take action then. If you're still doing all your crypto in your own name, and you're still in a European or an American or an Australian, New Zealand, South Africa, any of these places, and other countries too, you're doing it exclusively there, I'm afraid you will be sheared in terms of the laws that they have planned for you. You need a separate entity to get your gains, and you should be putting those things into place now while there's not that much exciting happening in the markets. We're going to be talking to you about Bitcoin, but if you understand the concept of reset as well, this is why we are a three-circle brand. The Market Sniper is the technical assessment of markets. The Crypto Sniper is the focus of that assessment in crypto, and the Reset Sniper is the fact that they are pulling the whole wigwam down on you, and those central bank digital tokens are waiting in the wings. That's right, guys. That's what's happening. And if you haven't put the whole game together, there's 101 YouTubers that'll tell you when what is going to pump according to this, and put you into any old shitcoin that they've been paid to represent. We are never accepting money from anyone to represent any token. Any token I cover, it's because I've decided it's technically interesting, or I have some of it myself. Apart from that, we have not been remunerated for it. We do not get paid for interviews, and we do not interview people who want us to pay them. So you get what we're looking at. That doesn't mean we see everything. That doesn't mean we're always right, but you're going to get our best thoughts and integrity first in our premium area, and then later some of that, not all of it, some of it will be drop fed in Freeview through YouTube. So thank you. Hit us a like, hit us a share. That's a key message for you. Thinking right now, some of you are sitting right now in your country and wondering, what the hell should I be doing fiscally to protect my family's wealth in absolute reset sniper times? And crypto is going to be the game, but also, it's not a big long. It's not a big leverage long. It gets a little more complicated than that. Let's just take a look at the charts and bring you into what you need to see and what you're interested in hearing about. So this is an annual chart. Okay, mate, go away with your message. Where we've got, this is Bitstamp, the exchange that's been around for a heck of a time. So 11 was a bear year, kind of when it starts over there. Let's put it in TG Pink. Got to start the year in TG Pink. So that was bear coming into it. That was your bear of the end of 13. That ran 14 into a low actually of 15. Note that. This was the bear most of you know. Many of you coming in since then. That was the 2017 high. Ran all of 18. Was actually quite a big bear. As part of that bear, and actually 19 was a broadly positive year, but it still was limited. You had the continuation of the first cup gold nugget. You can see that pennant there in there. I'm not going to draw it for you. We've covered so much of that if you're watching our channel, but that's why you got sold off a little bit there, and you would have been in and around then at around about the same time to have caught the best part of the first cup gold nugget trade, which was 2020. The best year was actually 2020. What's happened 21? You've got your third year of up. So let's also number these suckers. because the cycle is extending and flattening in degree of growth. This was your biggest parabola, guys. That's one green candle. This was the biggest in percentage terms move ever. The blow off of 17 was pretty damn big and preceded the subsequent lengthy bear market. You have not had that blow off. What you might end up actually doing is getting a bigger version on an annual level of a kind of half-time rest. We could be slightly green up again, but I would actually prefer, if I'm entirely candid, for us to get the pain, the iffiness, the offishness for Bitcoin out of the system. It's quite possible you get a candle very much similar to, let's grab him, let's use a different color, like this one over here. Similar. People tend to think in an associative way. We don't want to encourage you to think in an associative way, but if I were to cut that out and paste it somewhere here, that could be a candle. Now, as you get higher up, the volatility is getting less. Remember, the scaling on the right here is all log scale. So that was much higher volatility area. So we're talking about volatility getting generally less, so the swings are getting less, and the violence of the movement going upside less. This is the gift of volatility. It punishes retail traders who FOMO in, almost invariably, especially with leverage. Absolute combination made in hell. It's like cocaine and crack whores. You're going to end up in the poorhouse, almost certainly. But I can tell you this much: as you get more mature, what ends up happening is that the downside is a little bit less extreme, but you're flattening up on your growth. So it would almost be good to have a little early season, and I think, who knows, we pop up and get a bank hack or something like that, central bank digital tokens, whatever. You've had kind of 3 upward moves. I want to highlight that this wasn't a particularly incredible one, and I want to also highlight, let's just talk about that gold, first cup gold nugget, that this whole thing is exceptional in the history of Bitcoin. This was your biggest, largest continuation pattern. This was just a dip and a turn. So that's why you got the best move. That was the time to be leveraged here on first cup gold nugget running through to our target. What you're having is a bit more resty, windy period. It may end up at the end of the year a mildly green, but you could certainly see the possibility of some form of tail wick that brings you back down a little bit on Bitcoin. Now, I'm not making a number prediction on a log scale. It doesn't have to be vast. It can have a little bit of a wick and then trade up later on. It depends on risk off strike, an event that typically sees crypto sell off. Can I tell you that crypto, from previous charts that I've done for you, just as a reminder, is underperforming tech and has a little bit more I expect it to go down. So that is risk off in terms of perception. It is also underperforming most equities. It's underperforming in terms of if you divide Bitcoin by the various other elements, it's underperforming. I have highlighted the ratio, the interest of bond interest rates. So we actually want interest rates to go up because that tells you it's becoming more risk on. People are feeling confident, and that means inflation, confidence. They're not in fear, deflation. So I actually want rates to go up, but it might, and we have a bit of a structure. I covered that in a previous video. So overall, there is a possibility of a little dip on the downside. What will the annual chart, the annual candle look like next time? I'm going to stick my neck out and say actually it's probably be higher than where we closed this year, which is 47,223, and it could even be higher than the wick high over here. But if it's to do that, I would require it early on in the year to potentially even go the other way. So the more the move to the downside, the more the move to the upside. So actually, you could be wishing for a little bit of risk off if you want to be at the chance of a higher high. If it's a very low volatility year, it may not go down very far, but I also doubt that it's going to overrun because it's already 3 wicks into its boom annual bull, but I will point out this was the real beginning of the bull on the first cup gold nugget, and you should broadly anticipate over performance. So note what we're doing today. All I'm doing is I'm looking at one chart, a major macro annual, to try align our time frame of trading to our trading idea. Bitcoin is still a macro bull, but that doesn't mean you're getting an awesome year. It's still a macro bull on this huge time view, which is encapsulating the better part of 10 or 20 years in it. So keep an eye out for that. Just on a mini aside, you might find this interesting, especially reset time, guys. Let's have a look at this. This is my avatar for crypto. Ever since I started covering crypto, I was certainly, as far as I know, the first guy to have this one, although there's been a lot of copycats since. Get ready for world currency. 1988 was the year, January the 15th, 1988. That was the year they released that. Government coins, the coming central bank digital tokens, and I don't think necessarily this is going to be awesome in the first instance for crypto, because these will be kind of competitive. They will, however, be unlimited initially. They may say they won't be unlimited. They will limit them, but then they will start lying and fiddling. So they might tell a lie first to make it not sound like proliferate token. But the long run is anything government is proliferate token. You just need to wait for the new leaders to come and the lies to start filtering through. 33 years ago, 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 days, that is the duration between 1988 January the 15th and the May 8 2021 when this gov coin made its debut. Interesting also that the DeFi, the reference to DeFi in the rabbit hole was 133 days. They'll follow the white rabbit. Very interesting. Other meanings to white rabbit and a lot else. But anyway, we don't want to take you to reset. We talk a lot about these interesting things in reset and sometimes in our community in the social area. But at the end of the day, we're here to create wealth. So there's things coming. There's things coming for 2022. And I think there has to be a little bit of a bloodletting, the equities and all of those aspects. And risk off is not comfortable initially if it is to happen. But it could come suddenly. So a lot of what I'll say is outside of a major risk off event, this tail to this candle could come on such a risk off period. And you could have a dip. Who knows how far it could go? It could depend on the scale of the crisis they do. In the end, at a reset level, these guys want you to own nothing and to be happy on their big pharma treatments for you with your virtual goggles on and owning cities and casinos in the metaverse and nothing in the real world. That is the big game. So there's truth in a lot of the fantasy stories, like follow the white rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, and there's reality being reflected to you out of a fantasy, and you're going to be getting deception and in your reality put to you, and you're going to be made to live in a fantasy world. This is the whole inversion concept. Anyway, I'm kind of resetty today. Oh no, sorry about that. So just talking technically, Bitcoin, I've also said on a number of occasions on the slightly lower time frames that the overall structure would be something like this. So there will be a squeezing potentially. This is a reduction of volatility, in my opinion, short of us having an absolute shocker of a financial event that is beyond the pandemic scale. On that basis, if you were to have something extreme, you could come very far through here. I'm not sure that that's what it'll do. I think generally the volatility in Bitcoin is reducing because the institutions come in and they buy and trade to levels. They are dip buyers and they are super pump sellers, and they're more patient than you. Their time frame is more aligned to their trade ideas time frame, which is what you should be doing. And it's a great piece of advice that others have given. So as closely as you are aligned. So what should you be? Macro bull? generally, this is a hodl environment. And if there's a bit of real risk out of there, you might even want to ensure you have some cash reserves. This is not an all-in. 3 up candles in a row. It's not an all-in exercise. Also, token selection. You could have a few shooting stars out there, but you got to be guessing right, and you could have a lot of other alts that'll go down more than Bitcoin if it comes off. So defense is probably going to be the rule for the year, certainly the first half, depending what happens. After any major event, that will be the buying opportunity of a lifetime. So if you do get the crashamentals, you absolutely want to have gunpowder free. So having a little bit of out of crypto fiat could prove very smart, and you might get the buying opportunity of a lifetime. And by the way, whatever happens to Bitcoin happens on a higher beta to most alts. So yeah, we spend quite a bit of time on just the annual chart, but we don't always do it, and it's a year end and it's a new year beginning, and as a result, that is why we have done that. Let's just take you out of the 12 monthly into something a little less granular and talk about monthly. So I also want to highlight that there's been quite a high amount of stable coins that may indeed be coming on. So I made the community aware of that. This was 3 days ago, and I've got similar alerts. Stable coins moving into exchange flow. Unusually many people are depositing stable coins to exchanges, possibly for buying cryptocurrencies. So that could actually be somewhat supportive. Normally when a lot of stable coins or fiat is moving into exchanges, it's reasonable to assume that there could be some buying coming. Wanted to highlight also that this grind line here kind of had to be broken. The marginally higher high, that kind of had to be broken, and you could now just be in a more leisurely rate of ascent. The marginally higher highs, the law of the marginally higher highs. Guys, HVF method is spot on with this. There's so many valuable laws. You should find out how to do it. You should be in a community of doing that. You had to go defensive. Plus you ended up with a shooting star there on the monthly as well. A bit of a hanging man there as well on the head and shoulders on the macro. So we're looking at big time frame charts now. But overall, we expect overperformance from here. But if you looked at that Bitcoin divided by tech index that we've done for you, it is churning now and setting up new continuation. And I've mentioned to you there is scope for a little bit more downside. How do you square that with record numbers of stable coins coming in? Well, it could be retail stable coins. They might buy in and get a little bit of a dip first on any deflation news. Let's be clear. The Fed is saying they're going to raise rates. Now, I call bullshit against the Fed as a professional position just about every time. Stuff is going to break long before they get to do 3 rate hikes, if that's their intention. However, as long as they do, the dollar is going to be strong, and that's not helpful for Bitcoin. Because the God market of the fiat and the God market of crypto ideally does well when one is the tailwind for the other. Throughout this first cup gold nugget move, the dollar was weakening. Everyone going, dollar's got nothing to do with it. Look how much crypto went up, and there was dollar strength periods. During that period, this was 50 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion market cap thing that was entirely being driven by its own fundamentals. You want to come as a store of value globally and be a trillion market cap. Now that's different. Now, and you want to have institutions coming in to give you your future growth. Well, they care. Remember, the market cares about what the aggregate participants in the market cares about. And those aggregate participants are no longer cypherpunks with laptops run mining Bitcoin in 2010. They're now institutions that have exposure to Forex markets, equity markets, and everything else for which you are just another and smallest risk asset class. That is it. But you'll say there's more of us than them. In terms of money and dollars now, there isn't. They're bigger than you. And they're getting bigger. So it does matter, because it matters to those people. I don't care that, and we got guys in the Twitter feed, dollars have nothing to do with that. There's no correlation with the dollar and everything. Everything goes through a cycle of phases. It is dynamic. There was no correlation because it was not important. Bitcoin was driven by Bitcoin's purely own dynamics. Was there a hack on a major exchange? Is there a shortage of supply because it's just halvening and loads of people are buying spliffs now on darknet versus da-da-da-da-da-da? That was all Bitcoin story. By the time you become an institutional asset class, the rules change. The rules change. And when you get a Federal Reserve putting up interest rates where the carry cost of borrowed money and leverage and all of these things could create a risk-off environment, and you could have forced sellers in your high beta market, you will be in trouble. So you can't ignore the fact that dollar was weak during this period for our first cup gold nugget major break, which took target, and that we are now on that tech, that neckline there, congesting for another wind up, and it will be painful for retail. So falling wedge is ideal. So this down there can, a little bit more on the downside can happen, and then a benign third impulse can also happen. A little bit up, a little bit down. So no fireworks year for Bitcoin for me, because it's late stage, because the cycle is slowing and extending relative when you're comparing to fireworks years in previous cycles. Relative, plus some downside risk because of the Fed cycle and the dollar cycle. We are currently also trading Euro Swiss franc. Lots of things that none of you find interesting. You think, why should I care about FX? Because it is systemic failure on the euro. We will see it, Euro Swiss franc, and we will see dollar strength, but there might be a period of pullback for dollar. Whilst the Dixie pulls back on the downside, let's just show you that. It will be supportive slightly for Bitcoin, but this is not a leveraged trading environment. Things will chop and change regularly and will catch you out. Unless you are trading smaller time frames and have very quick shoot and scoot rules, and even still you're not got the macro trend as clear and as strong and as dominant in your favor. Those are the best environments for high rewards, low risk trading. So let's just get those, show you the Dixie again. We just wipe our face up a bit there. On the weekly, we are expecting this baby to go up. That is going to be a bit of a headwind. There will come a flippening moment where Dixie could be going up and Bitcoin will go up too. Many will reach for their 2010 and 11 charts, and I'll say that didn't matter. Since the dollar became significant and relevant for Bitcoin's progress, it's a recent phenomenon of the last few years and getting more intense because of risk on, risk off as an asset class. As Bitcoin gets more risk recognized as an asset class, not just some gamer kiddie stuff for buying a better gun to shoot people in a video game, okay? Or as I've already said, getting your asset on pirate net. So a little bit of slowing down here, a little bit of a shooting star. We expect it to come in around here. We've called this reversal. I still see 99, but I think you could come down a little bit before you go a little bit higher. So that could mean short term a little bit of a bid for Bitcoin as the January season comes back in and people are loading up for the new year in anticipation. So a little bit down dollar, a little bit supported and up. You saw the stable coins coming in, a little bit of supported and up. But do not fool that to be a runaway bull market. Now is the best time to be getting your structure right. You will get another high probability period, like the first cup gold nugget, when you'll have real opportunity to even have a little bit of leverage and to make extra money. You've got to choose those times right. Get your structures in order. This is what our community guys are doing. I will be meeting my family of HVF snipers who some of them are living down here as well over the course of this period, and be getting all my duckies in a row to ensure we're as well prepared for this global financial reset. We were the reset sniper before Schwabi came out and called for reset. We've had that crypto avatar. We are on it. This is an end of cycle of times, guys. You've got to be able to play defense well to keep your money. They have plans to write off your debt and to lose all your money in the banking system. Potentially, it's a possible risk. You've got to bear these things in mind. You've got to play great defense to be in the winning team in what is going to be a polarizing event. Go and watch the 2015 video I did on the top of the hill in London Greenwich Park, where I said the polarization events are coming. and you will have most people flattened and pushed to the lower echelons and the extreme, and the smart that are protected have entities, are mobile, and don't expect to live and stay living in your utterly controlled, utterly big on the pandemic world, big on the tax extraction world. If you want protection, you need to get a bit mobile. And people with children have done it and have moved and have homeschooled and have done lots of things. If you're going to be inertia ridden and you think it ain't worth it, I'll just roll up and die. You have more time than you think. Some people go, oh yeah, I want to be where you are already and I've got it all to do. You have more time than you think, because these things take time, but they grind consistently towards their eventual goal. You can utilize that time and get yourself into a much better position for this macro reset. So that's overall our expectation for Bitcoin. It's going to be a bit of an iffy, unspectacular year for Bitcoin overall. There will be some winners, however, in that. Good luck if you want to make sure you're always in them. Generally, the macro alts will be affected by what Bitcoin does, and Bitcoin is being affected by rate policy now and dollar positioning. This macro up move that we are expecting after some form of a pullback, we think it can go a little bit higher before it goes to that pullback, but it might dip first, go higher, pull a little bit back, and then we could have a very strong period of dollar. But by the time that happens, other currencies around the world will be failing, and Bitcoin will be one of the options for saving value, as will precious metals. I know you guys want to hate on precious metals. You want to have off electronic system money that you can physically hold as well. It makes absolute sense. We have links below. So there's quite a lot to unpack in all of what I am saying to you. So good luck for the year. Watch out for the trick of the rising wedge. Do not. This will be a terrible year for chasing in on new highs. I don't think there's ever a good year for doing that, but had you, for example, chased in on new highs in first cup gold nugget Bitcoin, you would have chased in at 20 grand instead of getting in at 10. But the difference is you still would have had a ride up if because you were lucky to the upper side. Excuse me guys for 1 second, we're trying to go back up to the Bitcoin chart. You would have got away with chasing into new highs on the Bitcoin new high because of the first cup gold nugget, because you had the macro trend in your favor. Even if you'd chased in there, you would have gathered some momentum and gone in. This, however, will be fatal period for chasing in on new highs. This is not a chasing on new highs trade. This is a soft market, and as I say, you could lose a little bit to the downside over here. However, you might get a little bump on any short-term dollar. So if you're oversized, and even some of you might be leveraged, you might get a little bump of those stable coins finding their way in during the early period in January. Do not lose your head. I would position defensively this marginally higher high. You also have a possible risk if you sell off deep. You could even get a head and shoulder if you got another 30k dip. Not calling a head and shoulder. I don't make a game out of trading reversals. The rising wedge option is plenty good enough if it's a moderate sell-off for us to go higher, a moderate sell-off for us to go higher. It's a real trader's trick. It's a monster, and that's what I was saying. If you buy that high, you will be washed into that low. In the same way as if you bought that high, you'll be washed into that low. This is the worst market for retail, and the game is getting retail to stump up their Bitcoin and other cryptos to institutions, and they know how. They will play the level, and their time frame is set to their trade idea. And that's the big protection I want to give you all for free to save yourself. So be careful out there. Defensive and buying low on short and medium time frame reversals along the lows. And also being wary, always having stops, because if we haven't had a big economic event, and trust me, you'll know it when it happens, the great hack, you know it's out there at any time. So there is a little bit of a wall of worry. Now markets can climb on a wall of worry, as they say, but you've got to be careful. Don't be leveraged. Okay, that's all. We go into much more specifics inside the community. I'm going to suggest to you that actually it's when the market is down that you should be learning HVF method and how to do this, and putting in your defensive structures so that you are already well oiled and slick for when there are awesome opportunities to grab crypto. And on a macro time frame, this just was the best for a leveraged run, and it served us incredibly well. We got a lot of guys that made through 7 figures on trading here, and guys that were deep into the 6 figures that were trading during this period, and they will come again, but you need to stay in the game and not get thrashed. Okay, with that all said, fairly cautious defensive call for Bitcoin generally, and we thank you for your support, your likes and your smears. Do that, it helps us. We do no ads. I also want to thank you again for taking us to 40,000 subscribers. It's those that have been sharing us, giving us the likes that have helped doing it. As a no ads, non-monetized channel, we can say more of what we like, and not be as heavily audited by YouTube, but we do rely on you guys to help us grow, to make it worth our while. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on in future updates on Freeviews. Book the link below for a chat, www.themarketsniper.com. You have to decide to find out more details, think about it, and decide if you want to join us. We never contact you. This is a community of the willing, and I'm going to go meet some of my willing family members that are already defensively well set up for what's coming. Bye for now.